welcome to the first of the Absolute Beginners Ballet course. This is an 8-week course taking you right from the very foundations of learning classical ballet through to what we would call a beginner level, so that you are ready to then move on to a regular weekly beginners class. So we're going to be talking about lots of different things. There'll be lots of information to throw at you. So don't worry if it doesn't all sink in the first hour. These are pre-recorded, so you can come back and watch these over and over again at any point that suits you, just to kind of really get a good understanding for everything. So what I'm also going to do is alter the height of the camera. So I'm going to keep it as it is for the first sort of 45-50 minutes, and then I'm going to bring it right down so you can just see my feet. So we can really just sort of hone in on technique of the feet, how to use the whole foot, isolating the foot and the ankle, working through the foot, supporting the ankle, strengthening the ankle, just so you've got a closer view. So enjoy. So we're going to start off just with talking a little bit about how we stand. So I'll take this off just so you can see a little bit better. So ballet is very much about good posture and improving upon the posture. So generally in society we tend to kind of slouch and slump and sit into our hips, and particularly if you're at a desk all day, you're slumped over. So we start with our centre. So the core is absolutely everything. And the core provides a really good stability base for the rest of the body. It also helps to protect your back. So it's really, really important that you get into a habit of just using this core, just engaging it, just sucking it in, just so it's not allowed to completely relax and flop. So you've got to imagine you kind of got a corset on, so you're strapping it in, and it's got that braced, engaged feeling. At the same time, what we need to do is try and get rid of any sort of overarch in this back. So we're all slightly different in our natural curvature of the spine. I do have a slightly over-enhanced curve in my lower back. So it's really important for me, you might be the same, or you might have more of a curve sort of up in the thoracic. Everybody is slightly different, but to really tuck this pelvis in. So the bottom comes underneath you, and we want this action. So as you do that, you're squeezing this tummy in, and think about sort of bringing your pubic bone closer to your belly button. Yeah, so you're shortening at the front and lengthening at the back. Yes, I'm lengthening all the way down to my coccyx. So this is really, really important. And again, that's something that you want to try and hold and maintain through all of your dancing. So this is just muscle, okay? So the more you use it, the stronger it will get, and it will just become a natural process for you to go to when you start dancing. The other thing that we need to think about is where our body weight is. So I see a lot of people who start dancing from, they've never done any before, and a lot of us are sort of back in our weight, whereas in dance you need to be forwards. So if you were to just kind of sit, and then let's not concentrate here so much, but just think about where the weight is. So think about bringing yourself so that you're now completely vertical and you're stacked, and then come forwards just that little bit more so that the weight is off your heels, and you could rise up on the balls of your feet at any point. And that's where we want you. So it's that slightly tipped forward position, which might feel really, really strange when you first start. But you won't fall. And the more you can practice, just at any point, just in your kitchen or supermarket, just have a think about how you're standing, and or could I rise up off the balls of my feet? Or to do that, have I got to shift all this weight forwards and then get there? Yeah, so try and be a little bit more aware of your body, which is something that ballet teaches you greatly and in good detail as well. So we've talked about the tummy, we've talked about the pelvis, tucking the pelvis under, we've talked about your body weight. We've also got to think about opening this chest and keeping a nice long neck. So shoulders are well down away from the ears, the chin is lifted. With the shoulders, you want to imagine you've got a pencil in between your shoulder blades and you're squeezing these shoulder blades to keep that pencil there. So the shoulders are back and down all the time. The other thing that we use a lot for what we call turnout, so ballet is all externally rotated. So we might occasionally do a couple of little exercises in a parallel position, just to kind of help through the feet. But the majority of the time it is all turned out. So this external rotation. The external rotation comes from the hips, the inside thighs, top of the leg, and not just from the feet or the knees. Okay, so the whole leg has to move as one. Now, the best way to think about keeping this rotation is squeezing the bottom. So you're wrapping the legs around. So if you excuse the analogy, if you imagine you've got a 2p piece and you'll put it between your bottom cheeks and you have to squeeze your bottom to keep that 2p piece there. So you're wrapping these legs around. And again, that's something that has to be maintained throughout the whole of your dancing as well. So that then leads us on to our first position in how we stand. So if you take your feet and just bring them into parallel, and then we're going to keep the heels together but turn the toes out to the side. Alright, so this is what we call first position. So unless you are super flexible and almost sort of hypermobile and have what we call completely flat turnout, you'll probably find that it's kind of 10 to 2, yeah, rather than right out. Okay, so just get to a position that you feel comfortable in, while still maintaining everything that we talked about with the tummy and the pelvis. What you want to avoid is the foot rolling in. So you've got to, if we just take a minute just to kind of really splay all of the toes out on the floor, and you want to make sure that that baby toe is on the floor, so you're not rolling forwards onto the big toe. Yeah, so the arches are held and they're lifted, baby toe is on the floor, so all of the 5 toes are distributed equally with their weight. So this is first position where you'll do a lot of your work as a beginner. From there, if you were to point the toe and take your feet out a little bit further, this is what we call second position. So second position is generally speaking just a little bit wider than the width of your shoulders. I quite like a decent second position when you come to do a full plie, so it's a little bit personal preference, but technically speaking it's about the width of your shoulders. The other 3 positions, we're going to mainly work in another 2, but the other 3 positions are third. Okay, so this is where the front foot is halfway across the back foot, and in doing that, again, you've got to make sure that you haven't come back to that arched position, that the baby toe is still on the floor, so you're not rolling in. Now again, this will get better the more you do, but you might find that you can only kind of get to about that point, and that's absolutely fine. So it depends on your level of turnout. The next position that we will work in is fourth. So fourth position is where you've got your front foot and the back foot, so they're turned out and you have a gap in the middle of your feet. Okay, so you want to make sure that the weight is distributed equally between the front and the back foot, and you're not sitting too far back on the back foot. So you've got a gap in between. And then the last position, which we won't do so much in beginners, we'll stick to third, is fifth position. So it's where the whole foot is all the way across the back foot. So you might find that quite tricky to start with, or you might feel it a little bit on the knees. So we're just going to back off slightly and stick to mainly a third position, still tucking that pelvis underneath. All right, so like I said, a lot of information, but don't worry, you've got this to come back to over and over again, and we're going to be doing a lot of work in first position. So get used to standing in first position and adjusting the rest of your body. Okay, so we're going to move straight on to our pliés. So pliés just means to bend, and it's the first exercise that you will always do at the bar in a ballet class, although you might do a little foot exercise as well, which we will eventually do. So you're going to need a chair or a windowsill or just a little ledge. This is a little bit low, so you want something that is about hip height. So that if you've got two chairs, you can maybe put one on top of the other, just so that you're not having to sort of lean and tilt that way. You want to keep nice and upright. I want you to imagine that you've got two rulers from the base of your armpits down to the tops of your hips. So they're keeping your body really, really nice and straight and nice and square, so you're not tipping from one side to the other. Okay, so we're going to make a start with our plié. So for the time being, all I want you to do with your arms, before we discuss arms in more detail, is just to bring it up, so it's opposite your tummy, and this is what we call first position, and open out to the side, and this is where it's going to stay. So your side arm, the elbow needs to be on top, forearm extended, and hand just gently resting out. So we're going to come back to talk about the arms in more detail shortly, but for now just have it out to the side and not too far back, okay, otherwise that's going to compromise the position of your back, so bring it slightly in front. So we're going to take a demi-plié, so demi being half, so you're just coming half the way down, so your feet stay flat on the floor, so your heels don't lift. So you're going to bend the knees and stretch, and bend and stretch. So just do a few here. So you've got to remember that these knees have got to come out to the side, so you're not rolling forward. So when you come down, if you have a little look down, you should just sort of be able to see your big toe, or sort of like the first half of your big toe. Yeah, so your knees aren't rolling forwards. You want to pin back these inside thighs. Yeah, keep the inside thighs nice and open, the knees come out to the side without the bottom sticking out. So that has got to tuck under while still keeping this level of turnout. So this is where you might start to feel it in the hips. And we will do exercises to help with the turnout and loosening of the hips. Okay, so we're going to take demi-plié 1 and squeeze. And 2 and squeeze, and then from here you're just going to take a little rise onto the demi point. So that just means onto the balls of your feet, so the half point. So you're rising all the way up and then all the way down. So really nice straight legs. You roll up through the foot and then lower the heel, keeping the weight forward as you lower the heel. Okay, so you've got demi and stretch, demi and squeeze, rising up 1 and 2, lower down 3 and 4. We're then going to take, you can either do another demi-plié here, or we're going to have a go at a full plié, just so you know what it is and you can work towards it. So if you've got slightly dodgy knees, then you might find the full plié too much, a grand plié too much to start with, and in which case lots of demi-pliés will be great, just to kind of help strengthen the thighs and to help with any sort of patella tracking, making sure that your kneecap isn't coming off to the wrong side, yeah, to keep a nice straight alignment. So your grand plié, you come to a demi-plié, you allow the heels to lift off the floor as you come all the way down. Now when you get down there, you don't want to sit, all right? You just want to keep the bottom lifted off the heels. Don't let these legs then come in and relax. You want to keep the inside thighs pushed back, knees out to the side. All right, now to come up, this is the trickier bit. And you can't use your bottom to lever yourself up. So as you come up, you want to push these heels into the floor as much as you can and as quickly as you can. So you've now got a nice big demi-plie and you're creating that diamond shape. And then you slowly squeeze, squeeze, squeeze the legs together. All right, and when you squeeze the legs together from a demi or a grande, imagine you've got a coiled spring there. So they're squeezing straight against resistance. So you never just snap the legs together. Okay, so your full plie, you go all the way down, push the heels down as quickly as you can without that bottom coming back. From here, you want to keep a straight back, so don't tip forwards. So you've got a brick wall here, brick wall right behind you, and you're just sliding up and down the middle. So you push the heels down without this bottom. So there's your demi, and then you slowly, slowly, slowly straighten the legs. All right? Okay, so they take a bit of work. If you're quite fit and active and strong and flexible, then you might find it no problem at all. And really try and sort of hone in on the technique, which is this turnout. Yes. So you've done your full plie, so you come up all the way up. And we're just going to take a little port de bras. So port de bras just means a carriage of arms. So for the one in first position, we're just going to come forward, so straight legs, flat back. We're not going to go all very, very low. Just allow this arm to come down, and then you roll up. So keep the shoulders away from the ears, roll up through the spine. This arm will come overhead to what we call fifth position. And then as you open the arm to the side, you're going to tendu, which just means to point that foot to the side and lower the heel. And you're now in second position, where you repeat. So you've got demi-plie 1 and 2, and 3 and 4. You take your rise, 5, 6, lower down 7, 8. Now the one exception to the full plie rule is in second position, and that's when you take your full plie, the heels don't lift. Okay, so you come all the way down. You don't want to come any lower than sort of your hips coming to about your knee height, and generally speaking it's a little bit sort of slightly higher than that, again depending on your level of turnout and strength, etc. So about here is fine. Knees back, remember, don't roll forwards, and then you recover up. Okay, so just in second position, in your grand plie, the heels don't lift, they stay on the floor. So you've done your full plie, you recover up. So our port de bras here, we're going to bring this arm towards our bar or our chair and open back out. So don't collapse, we want to keep this lifted so that you can still see the front of your body, and don't let this arm kind of collapse and hang. It's extended over, and then you reach out and up, and then we come into our next position, which is fourth. So from here you'll tendu, so you'll point that foot at the sides. This is your working leg, your left leg at the moment, and you're going to just take, you're almost drawing like a quarter of a circle. So imagine you've got a crayon in between your big toe and second toe. You keep the turn out in the leg, so don't let this leg turn in. Comes right in front of that back foot, and you lower the heel, and that's your fourth position, where you take your demi-plie 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Rising up, so don't lean back, 5, 6, lower down 7 and 8. So your full plie if you can, so you're coming all the way down. So back leg, front leg nice and turned out. Remember, push the heels down as soon as you can, particularly that back foot. Straighten the legs, and then the port de bras here is just going to come away from this chair. So this side arm will come down, top arm will come over and just open back out. And then you're going to come into your last position. And this is our third. Okay, so halfway across the back foot. And you've got your demi-plie 1 and 2, 3 and 4, rise 5, 6, lower 7, 8, full plie 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just to finish, you're going to rise up, bring this front foot in across the back foot. Yes, you're almost just looking at one foot. Keep the heels forward, so we're not here in parallel. Yeah, we're still turned out. Kneecaps pulled up the thighs. You've got really, really straight supporting legs. Squeeze that bottom. Tuck the pelvis under. Nice tight tummy. Yeah, let's get rid of the arch in the back. So push these ribs away. Weight is forwards. Once you've worked through your checklist, find a focus point to look at, and then just release the other arm from the bar, and we take a balance. Okay, so that's our plie exercise just on one side, and then we do it all over again on the other side. So at the moment the pace is going to be quite slow because I'm having to talk through everything, but the more familiar you get with everything, you'll just kind of zip through the exercises. Okay, so we're going to do this with music, one side and then the other. So, Alexa, play David Plumpton.
Shuffling songs by David Clayton Thomas
No.
on Amazon Music.
Alexa, play David Plumpton.
Shuffling songs by David Plumpton on Amazon Music.
Alexa, next. Alexa, next. Okay. And we have demi-plie, 2. And again, 3, 4. Rise up, 5, 6. Lower down, 7, 8. Now your full plie, 2. Recover. And then just a small forward port de bras, rolling up into second and demi. 2, 3, 4. Now rise up, 5, 6, 7. So remember, full plie, heels stay on the floor and up. And then we come towards your chair into 4 and demi. 2, 3, 4. Rise up. So make sure your weight is in the middle of both legs. Into your full plie, down. 2. Push the heels down. Now we come away. Open into your last position, demi. 2, 3, and rise. So ribs away here. So full plie, down. 2, 3, 4. Now rise, bring the front foot across. Go through your checklist, find your focus point and balance. Good, well done. Lower down into a plie. So now we'll do it on the second side. Alexa, back. Alexa, next. So ready, first position, arm is down, open to the side, and demi. 2, 3, 4, and rise. Lower. So we into our full plie. Push the heels down into a forwards port de bras, just a little one, roll up, into second, and demi, 2, 3, rise up, weight forwards, full plie, down, so knees back, and we come towards your chair, into 4, and demi, 2, 3, rise, lower, so full plie, down. So remember, if you can't do the full plies, just stick to demis, away, so last position, and demi, 2, 3, rise, good, and full plie down, push, now we rise, bring that front foot across, and find your balance, don't lean back, shoulders down away from the ears, lift the chin, and you lower in your third into a demi-plie and bring the arms down. Good. Yeah, so whenever you finish an exercise in ballet, you never just kind of flop. So you come down, you lower in that position, either on straight legs or a demi, bring the arms down and finish nicely before you then move on. Okay, so Alexa, pause. Alexa, pause. Okay, so we are, let's check how we do with time. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next exercise. So in about 10 minutes, I'm just going to move this camera down just so you can see the feet a little bit more. So the next exercise is going to be a tendu. So tendu just means to point. So we're now sort of starting to work the feet a little bit more. So again, we're going to start in first position. So when you do a tendu, the foot, unless it's choreographed differently, the foot is generally always in contact with the floor, so it will never leave the floor. You also close from one position to the other on straight legs. So for example, if I was going to take a tendu devant, devant just means in front, I would allow this foot to leave the first position. So as the heel can't stay on the floor anymore, I'm coming onto the ball of the foot, and then I'm going to fully extend the foot. Now as I close, I'll come back through the ball of the foot, but this leg is straight and so is this leg, and I close back into first position. So what we don't want to happen is as you release the foot, you sink into this hip, yeah, and then because I'm sunken down, this leg can't come back straight, it has to bend. Yes, and we don't want that. So you've got to lift off these hips. So don't sit in the supporting hip, and keep lifting as if somebody's got their hands on your waist and they're lifting your waist off your hips, so that you've got that space underneath to bring the leg back underneath you perfectly straight. All right, so the foot stays in contact with the floor and you're closing on straight legs. Hips stay still, they don't move. Okay, all the time this is engaged, of course. Legs are really straight, really stretched, and we're working this foot. So we're going to take, same principle with our arms. For now, we're just going to take the arm out to the side. So we're going to have tendu devant. So you'll have point and a close, and a point and a close, and tendu devant, close, and a demi-plie and stretch. So watch the bottom on the demi-plie, don't send it back. Now we're going to come to the side, so à la seconde. So this is where you want to watch the turnout, so making sure that that hip doesn't come up. So we're rotating because we've got this 2p piece between our bottom. So we're squeezing our bottom to keep the turnout in the leg. So tendu and close. Keep lifted on this supported side. Tendu and close. Tendu and close and plie. Now we come derrière, which just means to the back. This is slightly trickier. So if I turn this way just for you to see. So what we don't want is this. Okay, so you need to sort this out. So pull the tummy in, lift up and over. So remember we talked about that body weight being slightly forwards. Now the back foot, you shouldn't have any weight on that back toe whatsoever. So you're on the very tip of the toe, 2p piece, so you're squeezing this leg, so don't let the leg just kind of fall out and relax. We want that rotation, the hips are square. Yeah, hips are square. And the leg is right behind you. So if you use your tummy button as a guide as to where the leg is in front of you and where the leg is behind you, okay, it's right behind you, so not out here. Okay, so it's really, really important when you're doing work derrière to shift that body weight even more further forwards and really hold on to this bit. So when you come later on to do an arabesque and you lift that back leg, if this isn't engaged, you're really going to start to feel discomfort in your back, in your lower back particularly. Okay, so you do the same thing, so you come derrière 1 and straight legs as you close, 2, close and a 3, close, demi-plie and stretch. And then you do the whole thing in reverse. So you have 3 to the back, 3 plie, 3 to the side, 3 and plie, 3 devant in front and plie and finish. And then we do it all on the other side. Okay, so let me just sort the music. So Alexa, play. Alexa, next. Alexa, next. Okay. Alexa, back. Alexa, next. So prepare the arm, take it to the side, so it's nice and slow, nice and steady, so feet in first position. So we have tendu 1, and close, 2, close, so keep lifted, 3, close, and plie. So squeeze now to the side, so squeeze that bottom, keep the turnout in the leg. Contact on the floor with that foot and plie. Now we come derrière, so to the back, 1, 2. So straight leg at the back, really lengthen that leg, stretch and plie. Good, let's just take a little rise before we repeat and see if you can take your balance, find your focus point. Always time for a balance. Don't lean back, lower the heels. Ready to start at the back and close. 2, close, 3, close and plie. Now we come to the side. So keeping nice and square with the hips. Close on straight legs. 3. And demi-plie. And we come to box. 1. Close. 2. Close. Last one. Take your plie. And let's take our final rise. So kneecaps up the thighs. Squeeze that bottom, ribs are away. Weight is forward. Imagine a nice big beach ball rounded here. Arms opposite the tummy. Lower the heels on straight legs. Don't lean back as you lower. And arms come down. Good, well done. So other side. Alexa, back. Alexa, next. So arm comes out to the side. So ribs, elbow lifted, weight forwards. And devon, 1. Close. 2. Close. 3. And demi-plie. Good, we come to the side. So use that floor, so push against the floor, resistance. And push. And plie. Now we come derriere. 2. 3. To the back. And plie. So here we're going to take a little rise, a little balance. So rise up. And hold. That's it, don't lean back. Shoulders down, lift the chin. Tuck that bottom underneath you. Ready to come derriere. And close. So close on straight leg, really lengthen that leg at the back. Reach. Close. Plie. 2. And to the side. Close. 2. Close. 3. Close. And plie. And last devon. Close. So keep these hips nice and still as you release that leg to the front. Don't sink. Close and plie. And our final balance of rising up. Bring this arm in. So just to first, opposite this tummy. Hold it, hold it. And let's lower on straight legs and arms down. Good, well done. Alexa, pause. So have a quick sip of water, yeah, and then we will carry on. All right, so do make sure when you're doing this that you've given yourself enough space as well, because in a minute we're just going to start moving the legs a little bit more from front to back and also to the side. So you just need to make sure that you've cleared enough space, you're not going to hit anything or anyone, and it's in a safe area. And do just keep having quick sips of water as well as you carry on. Alright, so usually you would probably spend about 40 minutes, depending on the length of your class, but about half an hour, 40 minutes at the bar if it was an hour and a half. It's quite important to do a really good bar session. So I'm going to skip a few exercises so that we can kind of carry on and come into the centre as well. And then, like I said, as we progress through the course, and certainly as you carry on to normal beginner level, you'll get through the exercises very quickly, so we'll be able to pack the bar with more. So I'm going to move on to a grand battement. Okay, so this is where we're starting to get a little bit of height with the legs. So I want to keep this really nice and low because we haven't yet done that much with the legs. It's all been just the feet. So we haven't worked on the hips or sort of stretching out the hamstrings a little bit more yet. So keep this really, really low. So a grand battement, again, we are going to start from first position. So you will need to make sure you've got enough room behind you, okay? So in order to get the height with this leg, what we don't want is you kind of hoisting the leg up sort of from the thigh and the hamstring and using the body to get the leg up. All you need to do is use the foot in a good swish against the floor. So you push, 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 swish, and it's the energy and the power from that swish of the foot that will help get that leg up. All right, so at the moment we literally only want sort of 45 degrees. Now as the leg goes up, again, I always say this in a lot of the classes, if you imagine that you were just recording my top half it would look as though nothing was really happening with my legs below, because this would be perfectly still. So as the leg goes up, what we don't want to see is any movement here. Yeah, it has to just stay perfectly still. So we're going to take the arm to first, yeah, so, and open out to second, where we've done with our pliés and our tendu, and it's going to stay there. So we're going to have grand battement devant. So devant, remember, just means front. So you're going to swish, so push. So as you lower, you want to tendu, so point that foot and then close. So the power and the energy is on the leg coming up, and then you want to control it. It's almost as if it was coming down through water. So control it as it comes down. You tendu and then you close. So you always point before you close. But lots of energy with the leg coming up. Even if it's only low, you still want that good amount of energy. So you'll swish and close. Swish and close. Swish and close, and take a rise, lower. Then you're going to go to the side. Now watch the hip, yes, it doesn't come up. We want to keep that turn out. So what you can do, just a little trick, is you can bring this leg slightly further in front of you. Yeah, just to help with that facilitation in the external rotation of the hip. Like we said at the start, unless you've got completely flat turnout, you'll probably find that if you kept the leg really at the side, once you get to a certain point, your hip just can't rotate anymore, and that hip will come up and over, and we don't want that. So just take the leg just slightly further in front of you, that's fine. So you'll push and close, push and close, grand battement, à la seconde, close, and we take a plié. You're then going to come to the back. So same principle that we discussed in the tendu. You've got to shift this weight slightly further forward. So you can move this hand further forwards on the bar. All right, and don't throw the head back as the leg comes up. So you want to keep forwards, close, push, close. See, it's too far, close to the wall. Push and close, and then take a plié. Alright, so from here, we don't want this. Okay, so keep lifted, keep forwards. So the chest stays open and lifted. We don't want to tip forwards with the body. So that's why I said legs just really low to start with. So after 3 of those, you've got a rise, 3 derrière, you've got a little rise, and then we might take a balance in between, and then we're just going to reverse it like we did in the tendu. So to the back for 3, rise to the side for 3, and side and front for 3, and rise, and then we'll go on the other side. Okay, so what I might do is just turn my chair this way. Okay, so you can also see a side angle on the body. Okay, so Alexa, next. Alexa, next. Alexa, next. Alexa, next. Alexa, next. Ribs away. So take your arm up, out to the side, and up, close, 2, 3, and rise. We count side, so just nice and low, swish of the foot, now to the back, close, weight forwards, and rise, take a balance and hold, ribs away, let's lower the heels, ready to reverse, and to the back, 2, 3, and rise, side, so push, nice swish, rise to the front, 2, 3, rise, last balance, let's take our arms above our heads, so to fifth, so don't let it compromise your back, and lower down, good, Alexa, pause. Okay, so what we're going to do is just have a very quick stretch. So again, as we whiz through the exercises a bit quicker, we'll be able to get more in the hour session. So I'm just going to keep this to a very brief stretch so that we can just do a little bit in the centre. So ordinarily you will require a mat, but I'm just going to keep this very short. So if you just take your chair back and let's just stretch the calves first of all. So make sure these feet are perfectly parallel. Yeah, so push that back heel down so you can lean forwards over the chair. So when you're obviously going to use your calves and Achilles quite a lot. So when you're doing your pliés, you're really stretching out the calves. When you start to do any jumping, it's really important to get the heels down as you land on the floor so as not to shorten these Achilles. So as much as you can, stretch out calves and Achilles. Even after a brisk walk is a really good time to stretch out calves, so you've just got at least 90 degrees flexion at that ankle. That's it, so just stretch forwards, push that back heel down, make sure the toes are just coming straight forwards. Good, and let's just work through the feet a little bit. So this time you can be in parallel and just literally come on from one ball of the foot to the other. So working through the foot. And let's just tuck the toe underneath you and pull it forwards. So make sure that you're not falling out to the side. So just a little bit of pressure on the front of the foot. And tuck forwards, pull through. Good, well done. And then let's just grab the foot. So pull the heel back, so knees together, and again tuck that pelvis underneath just to get a nice stretch on the quad, so front of the thigh. So as we progress, you'll do a much more detailed stretch. So we'll do a lot more stretching on the hamstrings and the back, etc. But just for this first session. Okay, and change. So if you can't reach your foot, there's lots of ways to stretch your quads. So if you can't reach your foot, you can use a towel or a TheraBand if you've got one, just to hook round the foot, or otherwise you can just lie on your side on the floor and just bend that top leg back, grab the foot, bend that top leg, again tuck the pelvis under. You can do it lying that way. And then we're just going to cross one leg over the other. So I've got my right knee, you can use whichever leg, but flex that foot. Bend the leg you're standing on, your supporting knee, and send the bottom back. So just let this knee fall to the side. So it's just a nice one to open up the hips. And change. So again, flex that foot, send the knee to the side, bottom back. well done. And then just with your chair, just come further back and take a nice wide parallel second and just come into a flat back. So squeeze this tummy nice and tightly. Head is in line with the spine, so don't let it drop. Keep it lifted, shoulders are away from the ears. So you should feel just a nice little stretch on the hamstrings. You can gently move hips from side to side. A little bit of loosening in the hips and a nice stretch across the back as well, on the top of the shoulders. And then just soften the knees and allow the arms to come down to the floor. And just shake out nicely. Hold one elbow and then the other. You can toe and heel these feet slightly further together. Do keep these knees soft, so don't let the legs lock. And then we're just gently swaying from one side to the other. Then keeping the knees soft, nice tight tummy. Slowly, slowly roll up through the spine. Good. Okay. All right, so just a super quick stretch. There's loads of other stretches on the Dance with Emily page, or if you're a current student anyway, you should find lots of other stretches that you can do if you want more, and we will do more as we progress through this series anyway. Okay, so we're just going to pop our chair away. Okay, so we are just going to do a little bit on our arms, so a little bit of a port de bras. So like I said before, port de bras means carriage of arms, and it's really important to get the right sense of where the strength comes when you're using your arms. So a good exercise that you can do is, if you've just got any little hand weights or even just a can of baked beans or something from the cupboard, just make sure the weights are the same in both hands, and just to do the exercise that we're going to do but with a little weight in the hands. Once you've got a weight, you can't just rely on these biceps and triceps and other muscles just in the arms. You have to engage your back muscles, and that's exactly where you should be working from when you're using your arms. Yeah, so it's not just triceps, biceps and all the arm muscles, it is across your back. So if you imagine you've got a broom handle, yeah, across your back, so it's that sense of expansion and breadth, and then the weights in the hands just really make you engage. So if I were to turn sideways on, so what we don't want is this. Okay, so by now you should have kind of understood that, and this is something that I'll keep drumming on and on and on about. So we've got to adjust this tummy, adjust the pelvis, adjust the body weight. Okay, so we're here, we're long in the spine, and our weight is in the right place. Now from here, we take our arms to the front opposite our tummy button. So this is our first position, and it's a nice rounded position, as if you've got a beach ball here. And then as we open to second, so you want to keep those elbows lifted, so don't let them drop. As soon as that drops, then this generally drops. So keep the elbows on top, yeah, the shoulders are down and back, away from the ears. So remember that pencil between the shoulder blades. Extend the forearms. Now with your hands, everybody says something slightly different, and everybody's got a different way that they use their hands. But generally speaking, if you imagine you've got a biro in between your index finger and your third finger, the last three fingers are kept together and your thumb is just tucked away. I occasionally get into a bad habit of the thumb popping up, but you want to try and keep it tucked away. And you want to make sure that you don't break the line in the wrist here, so it needs to keep flowing, so you've got a continual extension. So remember, with the hands, use the backs of the hands, use the wrists, so it's as though it's sort of coming through water, so you want lots of fluidity in the back of that forearm, the wrist and the hand. Yeah, so it doesn't just move as one unit. So we're going to start in first position. We're going to prepare by bringing our arms to first position. So we're coming up opposite the tummy. So we'll have 1 and 2, all the way up to fifth. So this comes up over our head. Now in doing that, again, it's really easy for you to come back to this position because the arms sort of throw your weight back. So bring these arms slightly further in front just so you can see them out the corner of your eye, and then adjust the rest of your body. Make sure these shoulders are away from the ears. From there, we're going to open the arms out to the side. So use your head, follow your hands with your head. Once you get to this position, so my palms are now facing up, so I've got to rotate. So we want to lift the elbows to rotate. And then as you come down, again, it's as if you're coming through water, so it's resistance as you come down. So I'm really, really feeling this across my back muscles as well as in my arms. Okay, and you'll repeat and keep it fluid, keep it moving. So you come up 1, 2, all the way up to fifth, 3, 4. Open, so reach open, 5, 6, rotate and lift down, 7 and 8. You'll take the right arm to first, 1, 2. Now follow the hand with the head, 3, 4. Lower down, 5, 6, 7, 8. Left arm, 1, 2. Use the head, 3, 4. Lift and rotate down, 5, 6, 7, 8. The right arm will come out. So again, use this head. 1, 2. It comes up and over to fifth, and you take a sideways port de bras. 3, 4. Lift and open as you recover. And left arm, 1, 2. Come up, 3, 4. Sideways port de bras, 5, 6 and 7, 8. So lift the waist off the hips. Yeah, so really pull up. As you're here, don't forget this bottom arm. Okay, so that's got to stay placed in what we call bras bas. So it's away from the legs, it's not in contact with the legs, and it's held and supported. And we'll come down. And then the last one, you'll rise up. So you've got 1, 2. Yeah, so find your balance. Remember, go through your checklist. Don't lean back. Secure the tummy all the way up to fifth. And then once you're up at the top, you're going to open these arms into just a high V. So the palms will turn out, yeah, up at the top. You're on the rise. And then you can slowly lower the heels and bring these arms down through the side. Okay? Alright, so we're going to do that with music. So back muscles, yeah, do this exercise and then maybe go grab yourself a little weight for each hand and just do the same thing, just so you can get an idea of how it should be feeling, and remember that sensation so that you can hold on to that whenever you're doing anything with your arms. Okay, so Alexa, play. Alexa, next. So feet in first, arms are down in bras bas. So we're coming up, and 1, 2. 3 and 4, and again, so use the head, 2, so you might take it the other way this time, down. So now we come up to fifth, 1, 2, all the way up, 3, 4, open, rotate, and resistance as you that again. So rise up, all the way up to fifth, and turn the palms away from you, and lower down. So we're just going to finish off with a little curtsy. So step to the right, prepare that left arm, take the left foot behind, lower the head, thank you very much, and step, take the left foot behind, right foot, sorry, your right foot, and we close in first. Good. Alexa, pause. So Alexa, pause. Good, okay, so that's your first session, so well done. I'm just going to very quickly move the camera down just so you can see my feet and how they should be working. So I'm just going to do that while you're there so I don't have to restart. So apologies if you're moving about a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to slide you all the way down now. So keep coming. Good. Okay, so just secure those. Right, let me just check that you can see me okay. Oh. Okay, so alright, so you should be able to see my feet quite clearly here. So just quickly then, so this is just from first position. So I'm actually going to take my shoe off. So please do excuse my feet because they're a bit of a state. So from first position, so you need to think about using these feet. So if we were to tendu devant, so the heel would lift as I leave my first position, but the ball of the foot is still in contact with the floor until you get to where you can fully extend that toe. From there, as you come back, the toes will flatten out and you're coming back through the ball of the foot and then to slowly lower. You come to second, so you push, push, push. I'm still in contact with the floor and point, and then come back. So lower the toes, expand the toes, spread them, ball of the foot, gliding like that. And then if we come to the back, so again, my ball of the foot is still in contact with the floor. I'm keeping that rotation, so don't let it roll in. And then I fully extend. So the leg is really, really straight, lengthened at the back of the knee. And then we come back, ball of the foot, and back to first. So the more you can do with your feet, we will do, there'll be a separate little video coming soon, just all about feet. But the more you can do to kind of work the foot, so whenever you're going from a flex position, for example, you can practice this at home. You come to a half toe and then a full point and then back through that way. Yeah, so it never just kind of flops, and you certainly never ever scrunch the toes. You want to make sure as well that you're not doing this with your foot or this with your foot. So you want a really, really straight line from the centre of the knee down to the foot, and then keep it as you rotate the foot. Yep. And the demi point, so you're here. So again, we're not falling back on that baby toe. It's all in alignment. We're right up nice and high on that demi point. Okay, and lowering through the heel. Alright, so we'll be doing lots more. There'll be separate little videos for the feet and how to strengthen the feet as well. But that's your first session, so I hope that's been helpful. And the second session will be coming along shortly, and we'll continue for this 8-week period. So thank you, keep practicing, and see you soon.